Gilder's bandwidth growth law. Josefina Yu, Alicia Hernandez, and Mansour Ahmed. To begin with, what is bandwidth? Various bit rates measures representing the available or consumed data communication resources expressed in bits per second or multiples of it. It is also known as internet usage for some. Gilder's bandwidth growth law. Bandwidth grows at least 3 times faster than computer power. While computer power doubles every 18 months, Moore's law, communication power doubles every 6 months. So this is what Gilder's growth law expresses in comparison to also Moore's law. So what exactly is Gilder's bandwidth law? Here's an illustration of what it is. It is the practical backbone bandwidth on a single cable is now 1,000 times greater than the entire average traffic on the global communications infrastructure 5 years ago. With this, we kind of get an image of how much bandwidth has grown and how correct Gilder was in stating how fast it was going to grow. More information now can be sent over a single cable in a second than was sent over the entire internet in 1997 in a month. So imagine now, with all the technologies that we have in our current world, how different it was from back then in 97. Analysts look to this when anticipating the successful convergence of broadband and digital entertainment. Now, in a world full of technology, we see how important bandwidth is, how much we use it every single day, how much we use it through internet usage, through our laptops, through our smartphones, through our netbooks, through our iPads. Anything that we are using daily somehow requires some kind of bandwidth. So the inevitability of bandwidth growth. The real value of bandwidth is that it lets us do entirely new things with our computers, cameras, and televisions with our network. An example of this would be video on the web and on mobile devices. YouTube first appeared in February 2005 and quickly became one of the 5 largest users of bandwidth on Earth. TV sets now display widescreen, high-definition video from local cable or phone company and also from the internet. So we see what exactly we're using. Our TV sets use cable, from our phone companies. Our TV sets are also now compatible with internet. We have internet TVs, videos, applications. Anything like that requires some kind of bandwidth. Telemedicine, allowing the elderly and disabled to live in their own homes longer, allowing doctors in large communities to examine patients in remote areas of Alaska from hundreds of miles away. We see how bandwidth is now very important in our daily lives. Now it's giving opportunities to people that might have not had them, 10 years ago. There are also user-created videos so grandparents can see the children, or so budding comedian musician can develop an audience. With the growth of YouTube or the capability and the accessibility of being able to put any kind of video on the web helps people, communicate, helps people see what there is around the world that they could have not seen, back then. Home bandwidth grows from 1970 to 2012. In this chart, we see on the left the bits per second, and at the bottom, the years. So, as we see, the bits per second increased very much from 1970 to our present day. So, we see a big jump from the mid-90s to current, and that's in a couple of years. We see the big jump from 1,000 to 5,000 a little bit before 2000 to after 2005. So that's a great jump on what it used to be to what it is now. So, and we don't see it slowing down anymore. With more technology advancements coming out, it's not going to get any slower, and it's not going to level out. It's only going to increase. So what are we going to do to anticipate this big bandwidth growth? We know it's coming. We know it's inevitable. So what are we going to do? There is an expanding user base due to proliferation of smart devices and new service. Like I said, there are increasing smart devices. There are increasing new services. There's a dramatic increase in internet and mobile penetration in emerging economies. There's also the top 10% of mobile data subscribers now generate approximately 60% of mobile data traffic. So here we're kind of getting able to see how important it is to anticipate and be ready for this bandwidth growth. Smartphones represent only 13% of total global handsets in use today, but they represent over 78% of total global handset traffic. There's only 13% of handsets, but yet we generate over 78% of that traffic. That's a major use of bandwidth. In 2010, the typical smartphone generated 24 times more mobile data traffic, that's 79 megabytes per month, than the typical base feature cell phone, which is our basic texting messaging phone without internet, which generates only 3.3 megabytes per month of mobile data traffic. In order to retain the same level of customers and revenues, carriers will need to invest about $14 billion in new networks worldwide between 2011 and 2015. This also makes you wonder why carriers have put carriers have put, only a 2 megabyte limit, a cap on your data usage. It could be because they are anticipating the growth of bandwidth. So what is the bandwidth cost and growth rate? With 32% annual growth, the money grows almost 8 times more. The amazing aspect of growth in internet bandwidth is that there are minimal limitations to the demand of cheap bandwidth. The limitation in bandwidth is mainly from the supply side. So we see in Figure 1 the exponential growth in bandwidth and cost declines. So the blue line shows the 8% revenue growth, while the green line shows the decreasing or decline of 18% in cost. And then the gray line shows 32% of bandwidth growth. So we see how much of an impact it is having. We can also see that, people are going to try to compete to try to see what is the lower cost in order to attract consumers to their company. So, as I said, in Figure 1, reducing the cost of bandwidth is important. By trying to reduce the cost, we're going to increase port density per switch and increase port speed. Higher utilization of bandwidth, economies of scale. Production costs go down and competition increases, so it is a competition between companies of who has the lower cost of bandwidth. Also, integrated photonics. Optical photonics needed in order to drive costs down. So in order to increase this has been our presentation. These are resources that we used amongst our information. Thank you so much for listening and watching our presentation.